Well, welcome back. Former President Jacob Zuma is now compelled to appear before the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. Now, yesterday, the Constitutional Court ruled that he must testify. Zuma also filed an application for inquiry chairperson, that's the Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, to recuse himself, citing bias. At that point, he walked out of the commission shortly after that application was dismissed. So to discuss these latest developments, we're joined by Political Analyst Khanyi Magubane. Khanyi, good morning. Thanks for being with us here on Morning Live.
Thank you very much, and very good morning to your viewers as well.
So let's discuss the significance of that ruling yesterday by the Constitutional Court, given everything that has happened so far involving the former president at the Commission of Inquiry into allegations of state capture.
Sakina, this has been a very explosive week as far as the work of the State Capture Commission is concerned. And in terms of the ruling given by the Justice Chris Jafta, he made it clear that Zuma has to abide by the summons which have been issued in accordance to the Commissions Act. You remember that the Commissions Act is the one that actually runs the Commission's work from a legal perspective. It's the legal framework of the work of the Zondo Commission. And according to the Commission Act, once a summons is issued to an individual to appear before a commission, they are compelled to abide by that summons. And we've seen the former president playing a very, I would say, interesting game of cat and mouse with the commission, having been instructed to appear a number of times. And last year we saw his legal representative, Moses Kakane, going on a very long tirade to try and prove bias against the former president, citing a former friendship, which the DCJ, of course, denied. And it's very clear that Zuma will now have to have his day in court. And he has to answer to a number of allegations that have been brought forward and given to the commission by witnesses that have been testifying over the years. And of course, most recently, the explosive and damning allegations that came out in as far as the collapsing of the State Security Agency is concerned. So definitely come the 15th of February, we will see the former president coming to the State Commission to answer for himself. Now, a number of scenarios could play out, Sakina, in terms of what will happen come the 15th of February. But I think the most important thing here is that the highest court has spoken. And we know that Zuma's legal team had said that the commission's insistence for the former president to appear before it undermines another application that it had put before the Court to review and set aside the judgment which was handed down by Judge Zondo, which turned down the application for him to recuse himself. So I think interesting times ahead, Sakina, definitely interesting times.
Most certainly. And you look at all the intricacies, some of which you've already touched on. And then, of course, you look at the Justice Jafta there at the Constitutional Court and some of the issues concerning him and the former president as well. There's just so much going on. But as you say, the Apex Court has spoken. And one of the orders was for the former president to not be silent, that he actually does give evidence and answer questions that are posed to him by the commission. So what do you believe the implications could be there, especially given that, the president will still be under oath, as you say, more damning evidence coming to light this week, even though it stopped literally short of placing some of those very serious allegations firmly at the door of the former president?
Sakina, I'm really not holding my breath in as far as what I expect to come out of the former president's testimony before the Zondo Commission. And a number of scenarios could play themselves out. The former president could be evasive. We could see another scenario playing out. We saw Dudu Myeni pleading the fifth, not wanting to answer questions because she didn't want to implicate herself. We could see the former president getting ill and not being able to appear before the commission, and a doctor's letter would be, submitted. We could see the president suffering from a bad bout of amnesia, not being able to remember meetings, times, dates, people. We could see him, really trying his best to evade answering answering questions. I don't think Zuma in his right mind will give the commission any of the information that it seeks. I think the commission's best route will be the witnesses that they've put on the stand currently, because the former president himself has made it clear that he doesn't take the work of the commission seriously. He doesn't take the Deputy Chief Justice seriously. And as such, I do believe, and I may be wrong, but I do believe that come the 15th of February, we will see him continuing to take the commission on a wild goose chase. He will continue playing cat and mouse. And as much as in previous years, he has called for his day in court on other matters that necessitated him to appear before court, he's always said that I want my day in court. Well, his day in court has arrived, but I really am not holding my breath that anything explosive or damning will come out of his testimony before the Zondo Commission.
Khanyi, the Constitutional Court also indicated that, like all other witnesses, the former president is entitled to privileges under the Commissions Act, one of which is, of course, the right not to incriminate themselves. So you've already indicated that you think he might actually not say too much. But in terms of what we've heard already and the fact that the Commission is up against it as far as time is concerned, they are fast running out of time with quite a number of witnesses, key witnesses, one would imagine, still to come. How do you foresee this playing out now? Because he was supposed to appear in January before that commission and again in February. January's gone. So how do you see this playing out?
Well, the question that we need to ask ourselves, Sakina, is how central is the testimony of the former president to the commission's work? The question we have to ask is, without the commission hearing from the President Jacob Zuma, will it still be able to deliver on its mandate? Will it be able to deliver on its terms of reference that were set out when the commission itself was appointed by the former president itself? I do believe that the commission to a large extent has decentralized the former president from the center of the commission. They've had strong witnesses come forward. They've had key witnesses come forward. And so I believe, with or without, substantial evidence given by the former president, I do believe that Raymond Zondo, even in his media briefing a few weeks ago, said that they are on track. He said that the work of the commission has not been delayed by the cat and mouse game that has been played by the former president. And the former justice, the Deputy Chief Justice, gave us an indication that he was confident that he would be able to wrap up the work of the commission and produce a substantial report with or without, the president coming out and having his day in court, which he will have. But whether he decides to use that to, incriminate himself, or whether he decides to use his right to remain silent and not incriminate himself, the DCJ has made it clear that the work of the commission is still on course.
So let's assess, just how badly or how deeply the former president has been implicated. As you mentioned, there was more revelations in testimony that was made before the commission this week that related to the State Security Agency. Now, looking into that and drawing into the testimony and the allegations that were made against the former president even this week, how do you assess how far the commission has actually been able to go in placing a smoking gun, as it were, in the hands of the president?
I think that, Sakina, the commission has actually done a lot to place him at the center of the capture of the state. And if we have to just focus on the SSA damning allegations, we saw the former chairperson of the review panel, Mr. Sidney Mufumadi, coming forward and revealing that as part of their review work, they actually discovered, systematic networks that were running, which really amounted to a parallel state. We saw, the witnesses that came forward, Ms. K, Mr. Y, also bringing damning information, talking about how a number of operations were funded by state resources, but were never found on state books themselves. We saw that this private army, or what I could call, the protective unit against, the president's presidency, and the way that he ran it actually does not point back to him. We saw the DG Loyiso Jafta saying that the biggest tricky part about this is that it's all circumstantial evidence, that none of it can be placed back to the president himself. So I think that the commission is going to have a tough time placing a lot of the allegations to him, based on evidence. A lot of it is circumstantial. So I think that in as much as a number of witnesses have come forward and given critical and key evidence before the commission, the challenge will be, are they able to pin it on the former president with hard, concrete evidence? And so far as the acting DG of the SSA is concerned, all the evidence against the former president is largely circumstantial.
So the other issue that for me has been a question and doesn't sit very well is, of course, the fact that we are now hearing the evidence here, but one has to ask, why were people quiet about this all along? Given the hundreds of millions of rands that were wasted, why were people quiet? Or is that not an important question to ask?
Well, Sakina, why do people keep quiet about the information that they know? For the protection of their lives, their families' lives. I mean, the picture that has been painted before us, specifically around SSA, is that the Special Operations Unit, which was headed up by Thulani Zomo, who's been touted to be the chief spy, they ran that unit based on intimidation. They based it on making sure that Zuma's enemies are dealt with. So in essence, I think people were scared to come forward. I mean, how do you start to come forward about this information, which is exactly why we see Ms. K today and Mr. Y testifying, under a shroud of secrecy, because they want to protect themselves. So I think that people have kept quiet because they didn't feel safe coming forward. They didn't feel safe revealing what they know. But now, under the auspices of the Commissions Act and being protected by the laws that govern the Commission, now they feel a sense of being protected and being able to come forward. So in terms of why have they been quiet for so long, I don't think it matters. What matters is that they are speaking up now, and what matters is that to a certain extent they are protected.
So just how far can the Commissions Act go in terms of protecting these witnesses? Because it raises another question, following up from the previous one, in terms of have those threats that were ever present previously, have they suddenly disappeared?
We'll never know, Sakina. That's the truth. We will never know what's happening behind the scenes. But whatever it is that's been happening in the past has been superseded by the need for, justice to be done. And I think a lot of the witnesses that have come forward have really taken a view that whatever happens to me personally, whether I go on to for all intents and purposes, get killed for, revealing what I know, that is the chance and that is the risk that I am willing to take. Where we are right now as a country is that, we really want to wrap up the issue of state capture. We really want to bring this era of our democracy to an end, which to a certain extent really does signal a dark era of our democracy. And to collapse the state security agency is dire. And, it's an indictment on the Zuma administration because, the state security agency is supposed to protect the country and it's supposed to look after the safety, whether it's foreign intelligence or domestic intelligence. The state agency's work is to protect, the country. But moving away from SSA, we saw state enterprises, being brought into the fray. ESCOM, we saw Brian Molefe coming forward, Tutumieni, SAA coming forward. And so, it's not not just with the security agency that the former president has been implicated. His relationship with the Gupta family, his relationship with, putting undue pressure on the executive and leadership at state-owned enterprises, all of this will be taken into account.
Khanyi Magubane, thanks so much for that analysis. Political analyst Khanyi Magubane sharing her insights into former President Jacob Zuma and, of course, his now anticipated appearance before the inquiry into allegations of state capture. Right.